Hi, good evening, everyone. I hope you guys are having a good Sunday. We're back with our guest talks, and we're here. I'm going to be joined by my very good friend, Dr. Shiwani from Phoenix Veterinary Specialty. And today we're going to talk about environmental enrichment for your pets. So we're going to focus a lot on our exotic pets and why enrichment is so important for them. Let me just get Dr. Shiwani right in. So enrichment is not just physical, it's a physical, mental, emotional stimulation. And hi, Dr. Shivani, it's so good to
Hi.
see you.
Hi. Same
So,
here.
how are you doing?
Very well.
Okay,
Sorry,
so
I got delayed. There was some problem with the connection.
no worries. Okay, so we're back. I think everyone's also really happy that you've joined this talk. I just wanted to ask you about environmental enrichment. So, exactly is environmental enrichment?
So, Henna, we've been doing environmental enrichment for a very long time. As you know, like we talk about this in clinics,
Yeah.
in discussions and things like that. But the thing is, when I actually looked up what environmental enrichment is today, just for the sake of this lecture, they said it's the act of improving someone's life, okay, and enhancing someone's life. And and I looked up another word for enrichment, and it means development.
Yeah.
So it literally means taking the next step forward. Okay, so yeah, we aren't surviving, we're existing as and how we are right now. But what about next? So everybody, it's nature means progression. So if
Yeah.
we're not progressing in any direction, and that means that we're stayed. Okay, so that means that there is no growth. And for any living being, if there is no growth, that means life, it comes to a standstill.
Yeah.
So for that is what enrichment really means to all of us and to our patients.
Yeah.
We talk about our birds, okay, because we see a lot of birds. We talk about reptiles, small mammals and things like that. And what do? We think that associating with them or playing with them is
Yeah.
enrichment enough. But what about the mind? What about the psyche of that particular animal? We don't think
Yeah.
about all of that. So, enrichment encompasses all of that,
Yeah,
according to
yeah,
me.
exactly. Yeah. So exactly, because we focus right now. Even human mental health is something where we need to focus on so much. But yes, animals are equally important when it comes to mental stimulation and mental health as well. So let's talk about birds. We all know birds have an extremely high IQ. They're very, very intelligent, and very prone to you know becoming the enemies of their own mind, so to say, if they're not given enough stimulation. So, how can we provide them with that kind of stimulation at home?
So, before you provide enrichment, I think understanding your bird itself is very important. By what I mean by understanding your bird is, one, it starts from your species, what kind of species it is. Then the second thing is, how long has it been with you? Is this the first time that you're creating this whole new agenda? Now we're talking about environmental enrichment, and suddenly you remove everything from the cage and give everything suddenly.
Yeah.
Everything is new, and that is not what enrichment means. So understanding the psyche of your bird is very important first. Is it so if you look up papers now, they talk about being, there are two kinds of personalities. One is an eagle personality, okay, and the other one is a pigeon personality.
Hmm.
Yes, there are. So it's either fight or flight, correct?
Right.
So that is what it equates to. So when we're talking about fright, like for example a pigeon personality, if you start putting in loads of new things inside the cage, it's probably going to get scared. So if you
Yeah.
look at a lot of African greys also, I'm not saying they can be very notorious, so they'll come and they'll break this, bite these wires. But if you put one small single, even a toothpick over there, they're going to be like, oh my God, what is that?
Yeah.
So, and then you get them used to all of it. So understanding that kind of a personality is important. So, and there are some birds who are so inquisitive that they'll get out of the cage and start biting or exploring other things. So getting to know your personality, your bird's personality is the first thing. Then the second thing that comes from that is, what are you currently doing with the bird? So there are some people who think that, taking the bird out of the cage is enough.
Mm.
So they will get the bird out, put it on the stand, and that's about it.
Yeah.
But that is not environmental enrichment.
Yeah.
That is, okay, freedom to move. Okay. Or what people do is they take it out from the cage and put it on the stand. But what happens from the stand? Is the bird comfortable on the stand? You put it over there for food, okay, it's eating that food and all that. But what about does it want to do that? It's like picking up a child, putting it on the dining table and say, eat.
Yeah.
That is, or you asking someone that you have to eat now. It's not like that. So imagine your bird. Yes, there is a routine. They have to follow a routine at every given point of time. But there can be changes in that routine. That is also enrichment. So if you have the bird in one balcony, and if you are blessed to have 2 or 3 balconies or bedrooms or different places where you can shift the bird, that environmental enrichment also is something.
Yes. Yep.
Then we come to nutritional enrichment. Okay, so where people try and provide different kinds of food, a different, you offer food in a different way, give different sizes of food. So, for example, you cut an apple into cubes, or dice an apple, or otherwise you steam an apple, or you grate it and give it for whatever it is. So those are different kinds of ways you offer food, and that nutritional that is sensory enrichment. So you are empowering the animal to think, to use its smell, to use the sense of touch. So basically they touch or experience with their tongue, or otherwise with their claws. Birds will go and reach out like that, which is, so that is another form of sensory, that's how they experience things around them. So that is one part. Then there are other ways where cognitive, where you add the food inside, you hide it. For example, I've got some stuff. So for example, I have this box.
Yeah.
Okay. And I have just made a hole over here on both sides where I put, there's paper, okay, that I've cut and put inside. And there are straws which probably have 1 or 2 seeds. And then there is a lot more, like probably some pellets that I've put inside or something like that. And this kind of enrichment is what cognitive enrichment is all about, where the bird will go, probably if once it gets over the fear of the box itself, then it will go. Because what we end up doing, we get so excited that we buy a whole lot of things and we just put it in the bird's cage, and the bird will not look at it also for 2 or 3 days, and it's probably shat on that object which is meant for enrichment for the longest period of time, and they're like, we spent $2,000 on this, and why did we do that? And I'm like, you could do this for $5. Why do you have to spend that much money? So it's really as simple as that. Even your straws, for that matter. What I do is that, this is sort of a preening thing. I've literally put straws into a stand, like it's a bamboo, like a skewer. And I've put it into this, and this is immense joy for them. It's really cheap, easy to do, and they love, like kind of going through these rivets, and that is sensory for them. So they may eventually end up eating less, okay? And that is fine, because I think the amount of food that we offer our birds is a lot. So ideally, how much can their crop hold? Their crop means is the stomach. The crop can hold 10% of their body weight. But so even for that matter, if I am okay, suppose I'm 40 kgs. People know that I'm not that.
We won't talk about it.
Yeah, we will not talk about it. So I should get 4 kgs of food a day to eat 4 kgs of food a day. No, we don't do that. So similarly, if a bird is, for example, it's going to be, 100 grams, 10 grams of food
That's
all
a
through
lot.
the day also is so much for the bird, and
Yeah.
that is where wastage happens.
Yeah.
So you have to understand that is not that much is not required. It's not required. You don't need to give that much. So
Yeah.
reduce the amount of food that you give, and that is how. If you put it in stuff like this, or for that matter, if you have a bowl, and you put all other stuff like you have beads and things like that, and then you have a walnut.
Yeah.
Suddenly, this bird finds that walnut. He's like, "Woohoo! I've struck gold," and then he'll go and pick on that walnut. So
Yeah.
these things are, see, they're all over the internet. I don't think you and me have to sit and instruct people as to how to be innovative.
Yeah.
People are innovative enough. Google is there.
I
Google is
mean,
an
we're
open
Indian. I think we're quite jugadu as it is.
exactly, right? So we don't need to do all of that. So even stuff like this is a tissue roll. They
Yeah.
derive so much it's just fun for them to just rip whatever little bits of tissue are left. Or
Yeah.
for that matter, if I give a coconut shell, everybody eats
Right.
coconut in India, I hope. And then we don't scrape the whole thing, we just leave a little bit, and that is enough. So right now I had
Yeah.
rescued an Indian Alexandrine parakeet.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, and it's a wild caught, it has to be released. I'm waiting for its tail to grow. And I didn't know what to provide as enrichment, because that bird is not only scared of me, but I can't equate to anything that they do in the wild. So
Yeah.
I gave it this little piece of coconut, and which was there was a little bit of coconut still in that, and he
Yeah.
loved it. It just went on, and just that little bit of coconut is enough, and he's going and breaking up the shell, removing the husk and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think it's just very simple everyday stuff that we can give for enrichment. And obviously, understanding enrichment means also mean that when you associate with your bird, when you talk to your bird, people say, your bird is not going to go to a circus, why do you need to train it? It's not about circus. I mean, anyway, circuses are banned, so there's no question about that. But it's the
Yeah.
brain that is not being used. Imagine these birds spend almost 80% of their awake time searching for food. And if you're looking at food in the trees, they hardly will get, and because there is so much competition everywhere, and now the cyclone Nisarg has just like removed every fruiting tree, I think, from the face of this, from Bombay at least, looks like all the fruits fell down. What
Yeah.
are these birds having? They live on limited supply of food. Okay, so you have to make them understand that you're not going to get a lot. What people do is they provide food in bowls, like how we eat. There is dal, rice, cucumber, and all those fancy things, and they plate it out for the bird, and the bird goes, he's like, yoo-hoo, I'm going to throw this. So he takes it and flings it, and he takes it and flings it, and then your walls are painted, but there is nothing inside the bird's stomach, and they're like, "Arey, kuch khata hi nahi hai." I'm like, "Of course, dude, you've got given it so much. Why is it going to eat food?" So things like that, small things. I think we
Yeah.
also need to understand that birds, they can be wasteful as hell.
Yeah. And that's just how they are. Yeah. It's just
Yeah, I
something
mean,
you need to do.
yeah,
Yeah.
they chew it. Sorry, I'm just going to go. Yeah, okay. So I have to hold this because my phone battery is on low. Okay, sorry about that. So I'm going.
No?
So stuff like this. This
Yeah.
is just a pine wood. It's a block of pine wood,
Yeah.
which I have cut, and I give it to my bird very occasionally, whenever he gets into this destructive mode where he wants to bite me, bite everybody around. Just
Yeah.
don't bite me, bite this. Stuff like that, and it's not colored also. The whole idea is that they want to destroy something at that point of time.
Yeah.
And if you train their mind in the way to understand that, okay, I want to destroy something, and this is something that is acceptable.
Yeah.
They also, when birds live with us, they need to understand that there is something that is acceptable and something that is non-acceptable. Now what we do is that we scream and shout like, hey, don't do this, don't do that, and you're ultimately telling that bird, this is a way to interact with my human, so I am going to do this all the time. Okay, so stop screaming and provide an alternative solution
Yeah.
before that bird. So you have to, I think you have to comprehend what the bird is going to do, what the next activity is going to be. I know I have had my bird for about 12 years, and I can just make out from the look in his eyes that he is up to no good now. He's going to be that he is going to destroy something, or he's going to go and bite my daughter. So I have to comprehend that. And
Yeah.
before that, I'm like, okay, now maybe it's time for food, or maybe it's time for some enrichment activity. And I just give him, and he is extremely excited. So he loves these bamboo skewers. I do this, and then just these are just some ideas. So I didn't want to put any glue on paper, so which is why origami came to use. It's also very cool when you have a
Nice.
child and when you have to do something with the child also. So we made these origami pyramids, and it's just stuck with, I mean, I've not stuck it, I've just used those bamboo skewers cut only, and then you can put food inside of it.
Yeah.
So you can put food inside of it, and I just give him this pyramid to play, and he will destroy the paper, he will break the bamboo, and then he will eat whatever he wants. So it's a sense of how would you say, it's a sense of he feels excited that he's found something, and also he is comfortable that, okay, maybe I don't know whether he was hungry or he just wanted to destroy some stuff. I make sure in whatever enrichment I give, there is a little bit of food, because the birds
Yeah.
may or may not tell us whether they're hungry or not.
Yeah. I think those ideas are actually so amazing, and it's just something that, I mean, it not only keeps us busy, it's so good for a lot of animals, even dogs and cats. It's just something you can just do at home. I mean, and especially with kids, I think we're like giving people ideas how to keep their kids busy also in the lockdown.
Oh, definitely. You can ask me, because I have a 5-year-old, and I have to make sure that she is busy, and I have to make sure that she is away from the bird, and the bird doesn't see her as competition. So the
Yeah.
bird is 12 years old and the child is 5 years old, and they have severe competition amongst who is going to get enough attention for me. So then I actually can put all this out, and MJ and Bahava will sit together on the mat, and they will do activities together, and that's the most amazing thing for me.
That's amazing. I think a lot of people are going to get like a lot of ideas from this. So now we've spoken at length about birds. I think even our rabbits, hamsters, guinea pigs, they need a lot of enrichment as well, because in the wild they also spend a lot of time foraging. They spend time burrowing.
Yeah,
They spend time hiding.
yeah.
So like some of the easy things that we could give them at home, like especially in Mumbai houses, because obviously we don't have gardens for them to run around in, or dig around in. So what can we give them at home?
So also, that rabbits, hamsters, and guinea pigs, they also love foraging. Okay, and
Yeah.
how do we give them food? The way we give them food is in in bowls. Okay,
Yeah.
or just sprinkled around in the cage. Now, what I do sometimes is, again, the cardboard box idea is great. You can put stuff in it, because rabbits and guinea pigs love to break and bite
Yeah.
into stuff. So you can do that. But what I also have done is that I have this sort of tray that I've made. Okay, this is astroturf that is put inside just a box, a wooden box, or a
Yeah.
tray. You can even use plastic. The only thing is that you have to get the animal used to it, because you don't want this plastic going inside of their stomach. So what I do is I will put their pellets inside of this, and then, or seeds or something like that. If people want to give seeds, then I would put it inside of this, and let them forage for it. I also, what I do is that I tell my clients also to give durva, because I think
Mm.
it's a great replacement for Timothy hay that is not
Yeah.
available.
Yeah.
So durva also can be grown. Okay, and you do not need to worry about the soil going inside their stomach. See, there are guinea pigs that are kept on soil in gardens. There are guinea pigs that are kept at home also, and similarly for rabbits. If you are using good quality soil, which is fertilizer free, then or pesticide free, then there is no harm in that little bit of soil going inside the stomach. Okay,
Yeah.
it serves as a good source of iodine, minerals, and other micronutrients that we may not be able to provide through their food. And because we provide processed fruits and vegetables primarily for them, um, those vegetables are already cured. They don't have the
Yeah.
amount of the actual stuff that actually needs to be going into these burrowing animals. So remember, these animals are close to the ground. They don't
Yeah.
get cucumbers. They eat the cucumbers that have fallen down only. So why don't we just provide these trays? And these trays are sensory trays, as you would call it. For kids also, you do a lot of sensory activities. So sensory trays provide not only a good sense of touch, feel, but also they look forward to doing that thing every day. And people say, how much purva can you provide? I'm not telling you to create gardens of it. What you can have is just 7 trays that you
Yeah.
can put in, or every day it gets one tray, and for a certain amount of time, and you can rotate it. And what I also have is these balls. Right now this is a toy that is meant for birds, but these are
Yeah.
wicker balls, and
Yeah.
these wicker balls are dried. So what you can do is that you can just put the pellets inside of it, and then these animals have to go through it
Yeah.
to get to your pellets, or you can put strands of hay so that they can just pull it. Another thing that I do is that I put these they have hind legs, and they have very strong muscles in their hind legs. So rabbits, if you see, they will raise themselves on their hind legs to grab stuff from the top.
Yeah.
So I also tell clients to hang foods from the top so that they can grab and eat. So it also helps in biting, pulling, which helps the muscles of the jaw, also helps the muscles of the hind legs, and then prehension and mastication and ingestion. Okay, so why are all these activities important is when there is a problem with this animal, he will stop doing all of this.
Right.
We can get ideas about illness much earlier than if we put it in a tray, because then it is easily available. Then animal will just finish off everything, and it's very easy to consume, and you won't know that there is a problem of this animal has any sort of disease. For example, if there is a spinal disease in a guinea pig, he's not going to be able to raise his neck. Okay, so it's not going to be able to move in different directions. And remember, you do not need a large area. You can give them levels. So animals also live in trophic levels. So if you
Yeah.
see, if you look at on Pinterest and all that, they have these amazing guinea pig cages, where they have levels where the animal can
Yeah.
climb up and go into their loft and all that. I think it's important for them, because if the minute the animal stops climbing up, you know that there's a problem with the spine, or there is
Yeah.
some pain or something like that. Just the wheel for hamsters is not enough.
Yeah.
Providing these kind of sensory activities to them is also important. And similarly, I mean, I think that covers most of the about the small mammals. I
Yeah, I think,
think
and I think it's just something that we all, most of the time we have at home. I mean, all of us are ordering on Amazon or all the time. We have so many cardboard boxes. We
correct.
can make amazing use of those boxes. We can cut them up, and honestly, if you go on Pinterest, there are so many do-it-yourself ideas. Like the
Yeah,
same thing you would actually even use for toddlers. A lot of things,
correct.
as long as they're not, like, they can't swallow it, is so good for our pets as well.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think what happens, Henna, is that people, I mean, right now it's a lockdown, so maybe my creativity has gone up to a whole different high. But
Yeah.
otherwise, I don't have the time to do this. Okay, most
Yeah.
pet parents don't have the time to, sometimes, put in that much energy to do this. But what I say is, like, you have to, as long as you source the right things. It took me a very long time to source the right materials also, because most of the materials are processed. There is pesticide residues on them. We don't know who has cut it, how they have been cured. So it is important to take that time out to get these things. So which is why now what we've started doing is making these ready-made boxes. I mean, I don't make the toys because come on, I don't have the time for that. But we can tell you where to get these products or where to source
Right.
these products, and then do it yourself. You just need one Sunday. I think you can spend at least 1 hour every Sunday to do this whole activity, and
Yeah.
sort of get brilliant ideas to do this. And then every week all you have to do is that just put one thing. If you want to make your life simpler, you can do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and this is the activity that I want to do, and that's about it. So once you
Yeah.
train your own brain to function like that, like how we do it for ourselves, we create
Yeah.
timetables for ourselves. Similarly, why don't we create timetables for our animals just for their enrichment? It takes literally 5 minutes to put in these
Yeah,
things.
and I think it's honestly even very therapeutic for us as well.
Yeah, yeah. And to come
Uh,
back to a cage
yeah.
which is ripped with all these things, you're like, wow, that animal has really worked for its meal. So you tend to treat it well.
Yeah, we have a question from It's a Dodo Life. They say, where can we get pine wood?
So actually, we source it because the thing is that I have a local dealer who I source it from. So if you want, you can just reach us on Instagram and we'll tell you where to get it from. That shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, so
It's very
if you
important where to get
yeah.
it because most of these, they are the way they are stored also. Okay, they are stored in go downs, and then you have to process it before you give it to your animal. It's
Yeah.
not only sun dry. The wood has to be washed or untreated, so as to speak, and then
Yeah. Yeah.
used. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, let's come to a sort of ignored portion of pets. Our pet reptiles. Just because they're just so stoic. It's very hard for even people to tell what they're feeling, or I mean, you have to really be connected to your reptile to know their changes in behavior. So how can we enrich the lives of our reptiles? Say, let's talk about turtles.
Yeah, so turtles, right from the way they are kept, I think that is a challenge. Okay, people just end up keeping it in buckets of water or a tub where, and what I think what we do end up doing also with reptiles is the turtle needs to be basked for 8 hours, or it needs to have sunlight for 8 hours. So they will keep the turtle in a basket in the sunlight for 1 hour because that may be enough, and then put it back in the water. um
Yeah.
that's fine for UV, but that's not enough for the basking. So you created an environment for the turtle, and creating that environment is also important. So that is very important in reptile husbandry. You have to create, how would you say, you have to create not only a great space, but you have to create, you know give them the depth, give them
Yeah.
the challenge of depth. People, when they buy tortoises, I mean, when they buy turtles, they they put them in such shallow waters that you are not challenging that animal to do what it can. For example, it
Yeah.
can dive. Okay, it is a
Yeah.
turtle. It has over a period so many years, it has adapted itself to doing that, and you are taking that right away from him. So when an animal holds its breath, when a turtle holds its breath and then goes down in the water, what does it do? It works to strengthen its lungs. It works, but turtles don't have a diaphragm, but it
Yeah.
works to strengthen all the other membranes that hold the lungs in place. There is so all those things, when you put them in shallow water, that animal cannot do.
Yeah.
So then and then people tell me, when we suddenly change the husbandry, they're like, but my turtle is uncomfortable in deep water because it does not know that it can swim and it can go
Yeah.
down. So over, so turtles, remember, for turtles it takes a very long time to even change the diet. So if
Diet.
you
Yeah.
see tortoises are fed sometimes only cucumber, or
Yeah.
only my tortoise eats only bhindi and kakdi. How many times have I heard this? And I mean, I know it's something that we need to work on. But
Yeah, I just think
I
it's just right from the beginning. I wish that's why,
yeah,
I'm so adamant on doing these talks so that I can at least, right from the beginning, before you buy a pet, just know
yeah,
what goes
see
into
what they can
taking care of
do.
it.
See what
Yeah,
prehistorically they have been evolved to do. You know, evolution is so important when we keep wild animals or exotic animals as pets.
yeah,
Evolution is extremely important. So when you are looking at these pets, these tortoises that have evolved eventually to live on land, which came from, these animals came from the era of dinosaurs. You are, you are keeping it in a box or in a small area, not allowing it to explore. And then whatever that, that animal has a set thinking pattern. It will say, okay, I am going to eat this and I am going to get, I have over 3 or 4 years, I have been given only bhindi. It is fulfilling my requirement. See,
yeah,
animals also eat to fulfill certain energy requirements. So you need energy, protein, and calcium. Mostly that is for birds, but for reptiles it's mostly energy. And then the
yeah,
other thing that they have to realize is the temperature variation, so the temperature dependence. So these two things, if you can manage to master, okay, if you give them a different level of, like, if you have, for example, if you have a small area, say for example a 2 feet by 3 feet area reserved for your tortoise, then there should be levels where there is more heat and less
yeah,
heat. Okay,
yeah,
there should be a range of temperature in that habitat,
yeah,
and the tortoise should be able to adapt to that. Should be able to decide what it wants to do at what time. It doesn't depend on you, where you will pick up the turtle at 10 o'clock every morning and put it in the water for 15 minutes so that it will poop. Tortoises
yeah,
can poop out of water also. You don't need water to do that. So understanding these requirements, they do it, most of the times tortoises poop inside the waters because the water is so deep, and those tortoise animals cannot swim, so they are literally shitting out of fear. For lack of better words, I mean, it is what it is, isn't it? The poor
yeah.
animal
No,
is
I
so
have a
scared,
lot
like,
of,
oh my god, I can't
there
swim,
are a lot of
and here you
cases
put me in
where,
a bucket of
yeah,
water.
where they've almost drowned because the water is just so deep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
you need to know the species that you actually have and like what their requirements are for sure.
uh, uh.
Yeah,
And again, like, we have an iguana also, and that iguana
yeah,
is, it's so difficult to try him to get to eat the right things. Okay, you give him coriander and he eat like he's never seen coriander ever in his life, and he can finish bunches of it, and that's really not good for him. So what I decided, that I will try and modify his diet, because I said, I am a exotic animal vet. I will modify his diet in like 3 days. I will do this. And that iguana, he was like, I'm sorry, I will eat only coriander, and if you do not provide it, I will stay hungry. So that animal tested my patience for almost 72 hours, where I was literally giving it coriander. Like, I was like, I'll give you 2 leaves, but you have to eat carrot along with it. And but slowly and steadily, once he understood the drift of my thought, okay, process, he started adapting to me. So it's just wait it out. I think it's
yeah,
patience with reptiles is
fish.
extremely
Yeah,
important. You have to wait it out.
yeah,
Because okay, fine, they're cold-blooded animals, dude. They're slow on the uptake. Let's deal with that. Okay, people say, no, my tortoise is very, it's very
very fast.
smart. Yeah, it is smart, but it is developed. That
Yeah,
it's adapted over a period of years. So I have a tortoise who loves red nail polish. So he will go to that lady whenever she wears red nail polish and start biting at
and
the
what
nose. And she's
yeah,
like, oh, he loves it. I'm like, yeah, maybe because he wants, he likes red.
Red.
And, why don't you try and give him some kind of red fruit or a red flower, like a hibiscus or something like that? Maybe
Yeah.
go for it. Because so things like this, small things like this are important. Read your animal. Your animal tells you a lot. It's just that
Yeah.
we are so involved in our own work, and then we have things to do, so that we don't take that time to look at the animal. Now
Yeah.
that with the lockdown people have a lot of time, I think it's a good idea to
I
look
think
at
I
that
think
animal.
people now more than ever will understand what their animals might be feeling,
Correct.
inside a
Correct.
box or just a bucket,
Correct.
because
And now, yeah, you're so correct. I mean, imagine when we were under lockdown for such a long time, imagine that bird that has been in the cage for I don't know how gazillion years. It's been inside that cage and just doing that zoocosis, that acquired moving, just keeps going round and round and round and round
yeah,
in the cage.
yeah,
So that imagine, that is what happened to us. Most of us were walking up and down, pacing inside our house, waiting to get out. um, so imagine this is what happens to your bird, and bird psychology, or for that matter animal psychology,
yeah,
is something that is real. Even
yeah,
turtles, for that matter, even fish, for that matter, everything that has a brain
yeah,
has a psyche, right? And
yeah,
if you can train anything, so fish can be trained, snakes can be trained. If you look at if anybody looks at animal behavior, and I'm following this amazing behaviorist, Barbara Heidenreich. Okay, she can train anything, and if she can train anything, that means everything that she trains has a brain. You can train ants, so then why
yeah,
not tortoises or turtles?
yeah.
So I just feel that these things are important to address.
Yeah, so it's mainly, yeah, it's all about understanding the animal, knowing their psyche, knowing your own animal, and just trying to that's the only way we need to form that connection. Obviously not put our feelings onto them, but try to understand what they are feeling.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
uh, okay, so we have a question here from Shrey that says, what are the chances of pets to survive if by any chance they get back to their natural surrounding? So I'm guessing she's talking about rehabilitation.
Rehab, I guess it's about rehab. Yes, there are okay, so what happens if the animal has been in captivity for very long? um, it may be difficult for that animal to go to be released. But if the animal has been, like for example, that the parrot that I rescued, it's a wild animal. It's been with me now for 3 months. It's relatively easy to rehab that bird. The
Yeah,
difficulty to rehab birds that have been in captivity for too long is because they are not used to finding food. Okay, they don't know what to go out and look for. Unless if you release them with a group. Okay, so there
yeah,
is a way of rehabbing also. So it is called as a soft release. So if you can manage to do a soft release of that animal, where you provide food for that animal, yet you give it a chance to go explore, come back, and then do meet its requirements in your house, then slowly and steadily that animal will eventually get released. One fine day he may come back with his, if it's a boy, then with his girlfriend, or if it's a girl, then with a boyfriend. So
or
yes,
either
there
way.
is. Yeah, yeah, well, anything is possible in this world, right? So yeah, but they do. And also you have to understand that not every rescue will survive, because it is survival of the fittest. We have rescued that animal, and it is that animal's luck that we managed to rescue it, but it
Yeah,
is in that animal's fate to go back.
yeah.
You can't keep changing that animal. Just because the animal is going to go out and die, are you going to keep all the animals that you rescue? No, that is not right.
All right. So I think we've spoken quite at length about enrichment, and we've also gone into a fair bit of welfare, which is a huge part of any pet care, or even our profession in general. Animal welfare, such a huge part of it. But I really want to thank you, Dr. Shivani. It was such an amazing, amazing session today. I really enjoyed myself. It's been a while since we actually spoke also. So just I think it was just really great. I think a lot of people also enjoyed. If you have any questions for Dr. Shivani, you guys can ask away, or if you've missed the live session, it's going to be on IGTV, and you could DM her at Phoenix Vets on her Instagram page, which will be tagged. But thank you so much, and I hope maybe we can do some more sessions in the future as well.
That'll be fun. Yeah, definitely.
Thank
Thanks, Henna,
you.
for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you. See
All
you.
right. See you. Bye,
Bye
everybody.
bye.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. I think we had a really good session today. It was very enlightening for everybody, and I hope you have learned a lot from it. And if you have any questions that are specifically related to your pet, about their enrichment, about their welfare, feel free to DM us and ask us. We'll try to help you as much as we can. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you soon with more live sessions. And yeah, take care, stay safe. Bye, everybody.